This is Vic Porcelli, host of the Two Guys Talking Poker podcast, and you're listening to the Two Guys Talking Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Green Gab. This is Marla Esser, the Green Home Coach, with my partner in green,
Tony Pratt with the Sound Room.
And we have a guest today with us, Kathleen Beebe. Kathleen, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi. I'm Kathleen Beebe, manage Ameren Missouri's Pure Power program, which is a voluntary green energy option for residents and businesses in Missouri.
Very cool. And actually, Tony and I are both members.
Yep.
All right. Yay.
Have been for a long time.
Oh, gosh, yeah. I think 4 or 5 years, at least for me.
How long's the program been around?
It has been officially around since the end of 2007 is when it started.
Has it been that long?
So, yes, it has. Time
Whoa.
flies.
Okay, wow. I think time's speeding up.
It might be.
Yes, it does feel like it.
But it's kind of nice that it's been very well established now.
It has, yes. We definitely have had some time to get the word out and to grow some interest. We have 3 EPA green power communities in Missouri. And that means that the communities have matched their energy use with renewable energy above and beyond minimum thresholds. So Webster Groves, Creve Coeur, and Maplewood. And there's only 60 EPA green power communities in the nation.
Oh,
and
wow.
we have 3 of them here in Missouri.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that we had so many. So are there other areas in the country that have a concentration like that?
California, you tend to see a
yeah.
lot of activity with renewable energy and sustainability on the West Coast for sure. So California has a lot, but we have some in Illinois. Alton, Illinois is doing quite a bit. I think their match is about 14 or 15%. And then we have the communities here have matched between 3 and 6% of their energy with renewable energy.
Well, I think it's more unique to definitely see it more in the Midwest than on the coast, because on the coast, it's actually cheaper for the homeowner to buy the solar and get their power that way versus buying the more traditional electric from the utility company.
Yes, and also the electricity is more expensive on the West Coast. We here in the Midwest, especially in Missouri, have some of the lowest cost energy in the nation. So it makes it more difficult for renewables to compete in that market for sure.
So we've still had pretty good success. When I talk to people and I talk about what green is occurring in St. Louis, people are always surprised. So why do you think we've had good success driving that concept here? Are we doing something different in St. Louis and other Midwest communities, or what's happening that you see is contributing to this?
Well, I think, what happens on the West generally eventually makes its way here, and that's what's happening. We're seeing a tipping point where the conversation is more mainstream. So we see more sustainability in general, whether it's renewable energy or other, energy efficiency and other measures that people might implement. So I think it's a matter of time. It was going to happen, and so we're at that point. And so people are engaging in the conversation. And I think we have a lot happening in the world that is also driving that.
So I'm kind of guessing that the bigger cities are adopting a lot of this first, and then it's kind of trickling down through smaller cities and then eventually to the more rural towns.
Yes and no. Maplewood, Webster Groves, and Creve Coeur are smaller communities.
But part of the St. Louis metro.
Right, true. In St. Louis, we have the metro area. So you have the city of St. Louis, and then you have all of the other smaller communities around. And the city of St. Louis has, implemented a pretty large sustainability plan of their own. So they are leading for sure. But I think the smaller communities they're seeing it as their duty to step up and do something as well. And Creve Coeur in particular, they had a vision years ago that they implemented some plans and their climate action plan, and that set goals and measures for them to strive for. So these communities are doing greenhouse gas inventories to take a look to see what's going on in their communities so that they can then influence their own buildings and then start to engage the residents and the businesses within the community as well.
So you reminded me when you were saying all that about the influence of these municipalities and their collective businesses, government, and residents. I'd done some research a few months ago on different ways communities could engage in a green conversation or in putting it out there. And I know you work with some of these, so I'm glad I did this research. I forgot I had it. Green Power Communities, U.S. Mayor's Climate Protection,
right?
which I know several of the municipalities in St. Louis are a member of one or both of those. And then I also found a number of municipalities that actually have sustainability plans or departments or someone in their government that's really tagged with being a sustainability coordinator. And I know we're seeing that in a lot more corporations now, too. So how does that work with what you're doing?
Certainly it helps. So that's one of the things that we do when we're looking for a community that might want to do an EPA Green Power Community Challenge, looking at what their sustainability goals are. And so one of the things that we do is we look at, do they have a sustainability committee, which is usually made up of volunteers from the businesses and the residents within the community, and they are developing a plan. And oftentimes the city has signed on to the mayor's climate action plan or whatever that was that you mentioned, something to that effect. And so, yes, there's usually some steps that we look at to see if the city is already engaged in the conversation and if they've done a greenhouse gas inventory, because those things tell us that while they're also considering the impact that they're having, they're also setting goals and figuring out how they can reduce their impact. So there are more communities for sure that have sustainability committees, and then you see more and more of the city council and the mayor getting involved in it as well.
Well, and chances are, too, you're never going to see these communities that have these positions get rid of them. It's just going to be more communities will be coming on board.
Sign up, yeah.
Right. That is the hope. That is certainly the hope. And you do see more having, like you said, an official employee that is a sustainability manager, for instance. So that is changing as well.
Well, I think as corporate America has taken its role in this too as well, it's just going to become bigger and bigger. And that's all we're seeing.
Yeah. So
yes.
I happen to know that you have a background of being helpful in some of this kind of activity. But does it take someone being a champion to really start it down that path? I mean, do you see something that repeatedly happens that tends to get communities going?
I do. And it does start with probably, it's twofold. You have the Sustainability Committee or Commission that's offering guidance to the city, and then the leadership being the city council and the mayor that then engages in that and says, yes, this is something that we want. So I think it's twofold, but ultimately, yes, there does oftentimes have to be one person or a group of people like a commission that are doing the research and offering suggestions and options for the city to engage the rest of the community.
Somebody that's willing to take a stand.
Yes, ultimately it is.
Got
it is. Because, it doesn't, for me, this is second nature. It's not too difficult, but it does take some dedication. You can't just say we want to do it. You have to have a plan to implement it.
Yeah, that's really, I think, a key. And I don't know that everybody thinks about it. They're just going to want to see the action happen. And as you and I both know, one of my big things is just take some action. Just do something.
Right.
And this is a way that communities can do something. And we see communities start small and grow big, and some just keep doing what they can do.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Well, I love to hear what you're doing. And when we come back after the break, we'll talk more, kind of backtrack on how we all got connected in the first place.
Sounds good.
We'll keep gabbing in a moment.
Wouldn't it be cool if your advertising could last forever? It can with perpetual advertising. Here's how it works. Unlike TV or radio ads, where every instance the ads are broadcast, they're only played once and lost forever. Perpetual advertising can have repeat exposure and replayability weeks, months, and even years after they're inserted in a podcast. So even if a podcast is a few years old, your ads will still be impactful to repeat listeners, as well as new listeners. This gives your advertising dollar the most bang for the buck. Find out more about perpetual advertising at twoguystalking.com/sponsors.
Looking for a straightforward user interface and a cost-effective, feature-filled multi-track recording software? Call off the search. Mixcraft from Acoustica has exactly what you're looking for. It's time to include reliable audio creation and editing software with real punch into your projects. Check out Mixcraft now over at acoustica.com/Mixcraft and start a new generation of audio creation and editing today.
Hey, Marla and Tony, back gabbing on the Green Gab with Kathleen from Pure Power. And, we just dived right into what all Kathleen does.
No introduction necessary.
I know. Well, we get so excited about all this stuff. So I'm going to take a moment and rewind, because Kathleen and I have known each other for quite a while. I'm trying to remember when we met. 2006, 2007?
I think it's 2007.
And how did... You remember why we met, right?
Yes, I do.
You tell the story.
We both had a hybrid SUV, and we were both showcasing it at a green energy or a green fuel
car show
or something to that effect.
Schlafly.
And they were both the same color, same car, and we just started talking, and I think the rest has been pretty much history in the green world.
Well, I ended up inviting you to come work with us at Butterfly Energy Works, where I was for a few years. Well, both of us were. And then you've also worked with me at HomeNav.
Yes, I have.
And we've stayed in touch all these years, thank goodness.
Both making an impact in the green world still.
I sincerely hope so and feel it. I know you are. I can see what you do. Sometimes I'm not sure how to measure what I do.
Yeah, it's a hard one sometimes, isn't it?
I know. Reach is a hard thing to measure.
Yeah.
But at any rate, I keep telling her I needed her to come be on the podcast. So we finally got you here. We finally got her here.
Thank you.
I know.
Glad to be here.
One of the things that I find so cool about what you've had an opportunity to do is that you've come through most of your career from different aspects of sustainability and green. And you've really gotten some very cool opportunities to impact and to help inspire and teach people about different ways to go about it. And that's an opportunity I hope more and more of us are getting, but I've seen you take great advantage of. And you actually studied environmental in college, if I remember correctly.
I did. My bachelor's degree is in environmental studies.
Where was it at?
At Cal State Hayward in California.
Interesting.
There were not a whole lot of colleges or universities that offered environmental studies degrees at that time, so I happened to be in California and the right place at the right time for that. So yes, I had the opportunity to do some studying.
So we could have a good conversation because I'm getting a master's in environmental management and sustainability.
Awesome. Yeah.
And I picked up a certificate from Stanford on energy management and emerging technologies. And I'm going through a program right now, a certificate program. It's like a 6-week deal from MIT on the Internet of Things.
Wow.
Yeah, so you and I could have some good conversations.
He's always in some program.
I am.
I know you are.
I've got my next one lined up after this, too.
Well, I'm about ready to join you. I think I'm about ready to do one as well. It's time to... I've actually wanted to go take some psychology classes.
There is actually eco-psychology. Eco-psychology is...
I love that.
Yeah, I just recently took an introductory course for that.
I think you told me about it, actually.
Yeah, it is very interesting. The psychology of why people don't act with environmental issues. So yes, it's very intriguing.
Which is exactly why I wanted to do some psychology to understand the reasons people don't take action in our lives. And actually, eco-psychology would be a good fit, too. Kathleen and I also have run into each other in other personal development areas, and it's really interesting to see how much we as human beings get caught up in our own stuff. And it happens when it comes to sustainability issues and environmental issues as well. This whole idea of waste, we waste time, we waste money, we waste stuff, and it's something that we all do, and then we feel guilty about it, or we ignore it. And I think part of it is we just need to be more gracious with ourselves and admit that it happens and then take some action and to quit beating ourselves up about it.
Yeah, it takes the first step, just one step.
Right.
I wrote a workbook on this, and it was a checklist, and it was all about just do one thing, and then do another thing. And next thing you know, you have pages and pages of things that you've done and changes you've made, and maybe saved some money and improved the health of your family and indoor air quality, and et cetera. And you can make a big impact just by one step at a time. It doesn't have to be difficult.
Well, and that was what you and I went on to build with HomeNav, because you were there in the early days when we were building all of the green resource and green living guides. And if anybody's interested in learning more about that, then happy to share it. And Kathleen's just a wealth of knowledge on resources that are available. And through some of the things she's done, you've really been exposed to some great resources over the years.
Thank you.
But I find one of the things I love about being in St. Louis, and this was evidenced at Earth Day, is there's just a growing cross-section of people that are realizing they can do something, and they're doing something. I think that's a very good feeling, and I think if we keep doing it, it becomes more contagious. It's kind of like the yawn, right? Mm-hmm. One person yawns, the next person yawns, and we just pass it along. So I'm really becoming a huge proponent of just getting people to do something. Mm-hmm. Talk about some of the things that you personally have done, because I know you're like me and you've been taking a lot of the little actions.
Obviously, the basics is recycling. You have recycling available to you. I can't imagine that there's a municipality that doesn't offer it. There's some way to...
Oh, there's plenty.
Yeah, that's true. I keep forgetting. Maybe I live in a bubble. And then energy efficiency. That's the big thing. LED light bulbs are the new trend. Compact fluorescent light bulbs were it. But LEDs have come down in cost, and they don't have any toxic materials as part of the bulb, and they save even more energy. So, that's the low-hanging fruit right there. Your lighting is the big one. And then if you're just looking at your home, you want to tighten it up. I always say your home's like wearing a winter coat. You put on the winter coat, and, that's the insulation in the attic. But if you zip it up, you're going to stay warmer. So you want to tighten it up. You want to seal up all those air leaks around the house first.
I didn't steal it from her, I promise.
Okay, we just hit this, our last recording session, almost word for word. So I want to know which one of you two were talking to who.
I don't know. Sometimes our brains are the same brain, so it's hard to say.
Apparently, you loaned it out to each other. That's what
crazy.
I want to know. But she used down coat instead of winter coat.
Oh, okay. Well, yes, that would be Marla.
Down to the whole
We've been discovered, Kathleen.
That's funny.
All right.
Yes, and then of course, water. Water's a big thing that we don't talk about as much, but it is certainly, I think it's the real topic. So
it is, and that's a great one, because I'm a big proponent of water conservation, but it's a hard conversation to have here.
Yeah,
it really is.
We have too much water.
We do. If you look at St. Louis City, it is just a couple miles away from the second largest flow of clean, drinkable water. Well, not drinkable water, but fresh water in North America.
I want to see you back.
Right, and we don't pay by our usage in the city.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's no motivation to monitor your usage and your leaks that you might have.
I had one person
I could tell you stories about that.
I had one person tell me, well, the more I use, the more it's recycled, the more it's cleaned. So we're constantly cleaning it and putting it back.
Yeah, people forget that there's an upfront cost to everything. And I think that's a big part of the whole idea of taking action, is that just with a little bit of conscious effort.
Well, just because you don't have to do it, because we don't have to worry about it, doesn't mean you shouldn't. Because worldwide,
people don't like to hear that.
Yeah, it is the next battle.
Yeah, people don't like to hear they should or shouldn't.
It'll make oil look like
it will at that.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Well, let's come back and gab some more about what else is going on after the break.
S.H.I.E.L.D. was introduced in 1965 in an edition of Strange Tales, featuring Nick Fury. It was billed inside comic books as the greatest action thriller of all time. And it's safe to say that secret acronymed International Intelligence Collection endeavors would never be the same. Another, even greater episodic series is ready to take the greatest action thriller of all time mantle. And we hope you'll be listening. Don't miss the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. podcast, reviewing each and every episode of ABC's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. bullet point by bullet point. Check it all out right now at agentsofshieldpodcast.com. That's agentsofshieldpodcast.com.
Hi, this is Art Maines from Scammercast.com, where we educate, inform, and protect our elders and those who care for them on the Two Guys Talking podcast network.
Hey, back on the Green Gab. It's Marla and Tony gabbing with Kathleen from Pure Power. Hey, we're gabbing with women today, rocking it in green homes, green living, and green companies. And Kathleen definitely qualifies, I think, in all of those. Right?
Yeah, sure. I'll go
She's
with that.
She's going to take it. She's embarrassed. I
Don't
love
worry,
to
you're
give
a
you
superstar.
kudos. You are a superstar. You have no idea how many lives you've impacted and touched. And
Thanks.
that's what I love. Especially, there's just so many women doing so much cool stuff. No offense, Tony.
Oh, it's okay. None taken. I would agree with it.
I don't know what it is, but maybe I'm just enjoying my womanhood. But I love some of the things that are happening with women in green. And I love having the opportunity to applaud and share what's happening. And so thank you. Thank you for rocking it in green and being a part of this. And on that note, on break, we said we really should circle back around. Tell us a little bit more about what the Pure Power program is and why it makes a difference and what its goal is.
Sure. So to start with, you have to understand what the program is. So basically, you have the opportunity to match your energy use every month with renewable energy certificates that come from a wind farm here in the state of Missouri. Renewable energy certificates are also known as RECs, called renewable energy credits, green tags. And so what a REC represents is 1 megawatt hour of renewable energy and all of the environmental and social benefits of that renewable energy. So with the Pure Power program, monthly you can match your energy use. You can do it in 3 increments. You can match 500 kilowatt hours. It's a penny a kilowatt for all of them. So 500 kilowatt hours would be $5 a month. 1,000 kilowatt hours is $10 a month, or you can match 100% of your energy, which would obviously vary from month to month depending on your energy usage. So why RECs exist? I think that's an important part of the conversation. Yes. In the 1990s, we had a growing interest from individuals and businesses who wanted to participate. They wanted to get their energy from renewable energy. And historically, utilities have been required by law to provide us, the customer, the lowest cost available energy. And while that protects us, the consumer, from high energy costs, it inadvertently impeded the development of renewable energy facilities who couldn't compete with the low-cost fossil fuels. And so the REC was created, the Renewable Energy Certificate was created, and it does 2 things. It provides an extra income stream, so a portion of the REC cost of that goes to the developer. So that's a guaranteed income stream for them, so they can compete in the market with low-cost energy. And the other is that you then, as an individual, have the option to easily offset or match your energy with renewable energy. So
without installing it yourself.
Right, without installing anything. So, cool. This is anyone, anywhere can do this. In this state, and with Ameren Missouri's program, we happen to get our RECs from a wind farm here in the state of Missouri. So you're also, the other benefit of that is you're supporting Missouri-based renewable energy.
But it's not that way in all states.
Not all states. Yeah. Most states, some states, they're trying to engage with local facilities, but they can't always do that. So you may not always have a local product.
Right.
There's 850 programs similar to the Pure Power program across the nation. And in 2014, there were 230 or 40,000 people participating in programs like this. And so it's been very effective in helping bolster the renewable energy industry. There's lots of other things that have also impacted that. Compliance is one of those, and that's our renewable energy standards or renewable portfolio standards, where utilities are required by law to get a certain percentage of their energy mix from renewables. So that also has helped to bolster the renewable energy industry.
So one of the things that I found so wonderful about this program is that it was really easy for me to sign up and basically vote with my pocketbook and say, this is something I support. So just like you might go to the grocery store and choose to pay a few pennies more for organic produce, you can choose to pay a few pennies more and support clean energy.
Right. Kind of like me, I have a tiny house. I don't use that much energy at all. So spending an extra $5 or $6 a month is not that big of a deal, but it's a way for me to help subsidize something I believe in.
Right. And that's just it. Not everybody can install solar for a variety of reasons. And so, what I say is, unfortunately, if you don't have on-site generation, whether that's a solar or maybe if you had the option to install a wind turbine, if you can't do that, you don't have any option to support renewable energy. And a program like Ameren Missouri's Pure Power gives you that option to do that.
So it sounds a little counterintuitive that a utility offers a program that ultimately offsets their big power generations. So how does that work?
Right. So the utility cares about what their customers want, And so what happened is Al Gore's movie, Inconvenient Truth, in that movie, he tells people to go ask their utility for a green energy program. And people listened, and they called Ameren, and they said they wanted an option. And Ameren actually listened and went and researched it and decided, this is something we want to offer our customers. And so that's how the program originally started. My company, I actually work for a company called 3 Degrees. I'm a subcontractor for Ameren. And so my company put it out for a bid, and we won the bid. And so we manage utility programs like this across the nation. We're getting into community solar, which is the next new big program that you're hearing more about these days. So we also help market and do outreach for community solar, for carbon offsets, for RECs, and even energy efficiency and renewable energy procurement as well for big companies who want to procure their own renewable energy. That's also becoming a bigger trend.
And y'all are across the nation, if I remember correctly.
Yes. Our main office is located in San Francisco, but we have partnerships with utilities across the country, and we do business with Fortune 500 companies, universities, government agencies, and even small mom and pop shops. So it ranges. We want to make it available to everyone. That's the point.
So what would be the most unusual participant that you can recall?
The most unusual participant that I can recall? Gosh, you put me on the spot there. I'm not really sure that I have any unusual participants that I can come up with. We have, some fun ones where 3 Degrees works with some ski resorts, So we do some fun things with ski resorts. So certainly that's one that I could say, but that's not what I do all the time. That's my company itself would look for those big contracts. So we do more local here in Missouri with the Pure Power program.
And you do a lot of outreach and helping people to understand the program to get them to sign up.
Yes, that's a big challenge, is getting people to understand what it is and then to see the benefit of it. And really, like you said before, you're voting with your dollars. You really are standing up and saying, I support renewable energy, and the legislators and the utilities pay attention to that.
So in the last few seconds that we have left, how do people sign up?
You can go to amerenmissouri.com/pure power, and there's an enrollment form there, or you can call Ameren Missouri's number, which I don't have at the top of my head.
That's okay. And if you're in other parts of the country, how would people find these programs in their neck of the woods?
So you can if you did a Google search for renewable energy certificates, I think you should be able to find a website that would take you to all the different programs.
Okay. That would be great, because I know we have listeners all over the country, and this is a great way to, like you said, put our money where our mouth is and vote with our dollars, and makes a difference.
Yes, and you can also go to my company's website, 3degreesinc.com would also give you some links and resources for more information.
Okay, and we'll have this up on the podcast notes as well, which will be on greenhomecoach.com. Find us on the Green Gab on Facebook as well. Thank you, Kathleen. Learned a lot today, and I thought I knew a lot. But here on the Green Gab, we're signing out.
All right, thanks.